Hey everyone, hope you are all well. Been a few days since I released our massive email marketing Bible. I just want to say thank you for the response. Honestly, being overwhelmed, the amount of messages I've had on LinkedIn, Slack, and various other places. I just couldn't imagine how popular this would be. So thank you very much for everyone who's shared nice words, all the brand owners, marketers who are going to steal the strategies and pass them off as their own for their own clients. I really appreciate all the support I've had on this. And yeah, just thank you. Honestly, overwhelmed. Didn't realize how popular it would be. So what I want to go over in this video is basically those 3 fundamental building blocks and how we approach every single client project that we work on at Magnet Monster, and just give you a high-level overview of why we structure it in this specific way, how you can apply it to your own business, and basically just to get a really strong, robust email marketing setup. And I'll explain the methodology behind why we set it up this way exactly. So let's get straight into it, and I'll expand a little bit on the article. If you have any questions, just post them in the comments below. You can message me on LinkedIn, and I will also link to the article directly so you can see some of my expanded thoughts. Obviously, it is quite high level, some of this, because there's just so much to cover, but I'll try and chunk it down into these 3 phases, and hopefully that will be enough to get most of you guys started. Okay, so just as a basic intro, when we approach email marketing, you don't want to be siloed inside the e-commerce company that you're working with and working for your own benefit. And what I mean by this is you don't want to get greedy. This is the number 1 fundamental mental block you need to get past. You're not competing with Facebook ads, Instagram, paid search, SEO. You don't want to view yourself compartmentalized from these other departments. Your goal should be to complement the omnichannel experience and work in the best interests of the business. And I say this to basically underline the importance of how we approach email and how you should be approaching it as well if you're doing it in the right way. Email is designed to harmoniously work with all these other channels for the benefit of the business. So if you're looking for a guide that is going to just make you look good in the short term, this is not for you. This is not a methodology you would want to adopt. This is for people who genuinely care about the overall business performance, the profitability, and are willing to work collaboratively with the other departments. So with that being said, let's get into the meat and potatoes of the approach. So when you start email marketing and you're an e-commerce brand, you want to ultimately begin with the bare basic fundamentals, and this is email automation. Why start with email automation? Because the long-term ROI is as close to as guaranteed as you can get, whereas email campaigns are always manually going to be created and labor intensive and might not produce an ROI in the beginning. So just as a basic distinction between the 2 of them, email automation are triggered by events the customers take on your website. For example, subscribe to list, start a checkout, viewed product, placed order. And email campaigns are manual emails, for example, like you would send out on Black Friday, sales promotions around key holidays, gifting periods like Christmas. You get the gist of things. So email automation is triggered automatically by events the customers take on your website. Email campaigns are what you will manually create based on specific ad hoc promotions that you're running or general content that you just want to share with your audience. So the first place you want to set up email automation is based off these basic behavioral events that customers take on your website. You want your welcome flow. So someone subscribes to the website for the first time, want to find out why they're visiting. Usually you will incentivize them to make the first purchase with a coupon. Share your brand story, leverage some social proof in there as well, personalize it based on the data that they give you in the pop-up. We'll come back to that at some point. This is like very, very crucial because it tells the story of your brand, and this is going to be the highest opened email automation or flow that you will ever set up. So it's very, very important to always start with the welcome flow to make sure someone has a really strong introduction to your brand. It also drives the majority of the revenue as well. Abandoned cart is the next one. Most people are aware of this, that, you know, roughly whatever statistic you want to pull out, 70 to 80% of shoppers these days, especially on mobile, will abandon their shopping cart. An abandoned cart is designed to send a series of automated emails to bring customers back and complete the sale. So you want to use a blend of reminding them and usually some discounting as well if they're a new customer that replicates the same margin that you're giving away in the welcome flow. They're the two fundamentals, even to go more granular, of phase one. If you just had a welcome flow and abandoned cart set up, you will get quite far with email. So definitely get these set up, get a pop-up set up that pushes people into the welcome flow, get a great brand story, incentivize someone to make the first purchase, overcome their objections that they may have, and get an abandoned cart set up in place for people who start the checkout but don't complete the sale. That is absolutely crucial and is the bare minimum you should have set up on email. Another benefit of the welcome flow is that obviously it proactively builds your list by collecting subscribers through the pop-up on your website when they land. So that's another additional benefit. Now, the next basic flows that you would want to set up that I still include within phase one are your post-purchase upsell, your fulfilled order flow, browse abandonment flow, and customer win-back flow. So let me expand on these a little bit. Post-purchase upsell, customer places an order for the first time on your website. Now, the chances are, in order for them to place that first purchase, you've sunk a lot into Facebook or Google Ads or some type of paid media acquisition channel. That customer might not necessarily be profitable on the first purchase. You might be breaking even. You might even be losing money on that first purchase. But you can make strategic decisions if you know the lifetime value over time may repay you based on that acquisition channel. So a post-purchase upsell is basically designed to quickly increase the average order value or customer lifetime value of that customer by taking advantage of a time in the buyer's journey where they're generally really receptive to an additional offer. We've done a lot of tests on this, and it depends what you're selling, what type of product. Obviously, if you were to sell sofas, then this might not be the most relevant strategy for your business. But if you were to sell consumables like makeup, skincare, nutritional products, then this tends to work really well. So the post-purchase upsell flow is someone makes an order for the first time and you're going to want to go in immediately post-purchase with an additional upsell / cross-sell. And the goal is to give them an offer that is just a no-brainer, that makes sense, that they can't refuse, and that you're instantly able to increase the profitability of that customer. So let's say I'm shopping on a butchery website. I buy some a rack of lamb, for example, and then post-purchase immediately you're going to go and offer me some type of dressing that goes with the lamb, some mint leaves, and some extra lamb leg steaks or something like this. Just something at a really good price point that makes me think, okay, I should have just got that when I was on the website. Another example, clothing. Let's say, for example, I was shopping for a set of jeans, and then post-purchase you go in and you say, hey, you know, don't forget this matches up great with this style. Here's a plain white t-shirt, RRP $20, for the next 24 hours, $10. So you're going to want to pick a high margin product that complements what the customer just purchased. And again, the goal is to increase the AOV, CLV, whatever you want to call it, and maximize the profitability of the customer who places the order for the first time. And it's going to be very profitable because hopefully you'll be specifically picking complementary products that make sense for the customer, it's logical, and also has a great margin for you as well to claw back some of that ad spend. Very, very important flow. And if you set this up correctly, you can expect a conversion rate between 1.5 to 3%. And you'll have to look for some commonalities in the data, like what products are typically bought together to strategically put this in place. It can be a case of looking for the best, highest ROI items, because obviously there's a lot of planning that will go into this if you're a store with thousands of SKUs. So we've worked with brands as well that will basically just set up a pretty generic offer. So for example, spend another $50, get $15 off for the next 24 hours. That also works. But this 1.5 to 3% uptake and conversion rate on this, over time, that compounds and adds a lot to the bottom line. So it's well worth doing. And as I said, over time, this will massively increase the profitability. 1.5 to 3% profitable revenue is a huge amount over the course of a year to most brands. So yeah, this is something crucial you'll want to get set up. You can A/B test this as well. So I said in the beginning, you can send this immediately. You can also do an A/B test after 7 days, maybe 30 days. Again, sometimes people want to try the product before they're confident to make a repeat purchase. But generally speaking, this is something we've set up for pretty much every client that we've worked with, and it's worked very, very effective. So post-purchase upsell / cross-sell, great way to move the needle on profitability. Amalgamated into the post-purchase upsell flow, you could call it a fulfilled order flow. So when a customer orders for the first time, generally the buyer's remorse kicks in. So you're going to want to overcome that. You're going to want to make sure the customer understands in the next few days when the product's going to be delivered, how to use the products to get the most out of it, check in through customer support to make sure that they're happy, make sure that they don't need anything, they're not dissatisfied. Then, yeah, of course, go in for a review request at the appropriate time, and then nurture them with content, try and gear them up for a repeat purchase in the future. The browse abandonment flow, so very, very simple flow. Someone views a product on the website, they're subscribed to the list. This will trigger a series of automated emails, or maybe just one will work fine. Just say, hey, we caught you looking at this, want to come back and take another look. Very, very effective and simple flow. The customer win back flow. So again, you'll want to examine your data, see when someone generally falls off the purchase lifecycle, and then you'll go in with a series of automated emails to try and win them back. And the thing with win backs is that you want to, as I said, look at the data and take into account the general buying cycles of your stores. So again, just to use the sofa example, it would make no sense to start to send a win-back campaign after 60 days because nobody needs to replenish sofas within 60 days. Whereas if you're selling consumable products like skincare, supplements, whey protein, things like this, then generally the time frame is a lot shorter before people fall off and stop buying altogether. So you can have a bit more of an aggressive frequency. Important to note with the win backs is that you need to differentiate them between generalized sales campaigns as well. So I see a lot of people go into win backs and they just offer huge discounts straight away, which doesn't make any sense because you've already probably been sending discounts through manual email campaigns. So what's the difference between them? There's no point. You need to structure the win back flow in a way that reaffirms the brand's values, checks in on the customer to make sure that they're generally okay, try and engage them in a conversation, and then at the last opportunity, offer a discount if necessary. But just using it as an excuse to send like 20% off and going deeper and deeper into discounts, I've found quite minimally effective So try and be a bit more creative with the win-back flows, stimulate conversation, check in on the customer, and try and engage them in a different way, because the chances are you've probably sent the same concepts in general email campaigns and there's been no response to them. Gonna take a little drink and have a little breather. Speaking a lot. So let's recap phase 1 of the email marketing Bible. Get your fundamentals in place on email automation. You want to take advantage of events that customers take on your website. You want a welcome flow with a pop-up setup. You want an abandoned cart flow. You want a post-purchase upsell. You want a post-purchase order flow / fulfilled order flow, whatever you want to call it. You want a browse abandonment flow, and you want a customer win-back flow. 6 crucial email automations that pretty much, excuse me, every store can benefit from and should set up. Whew. Speaking a lot, let's go to phase 2. Just scroll down on the article. So once you've got these fundamentals in place, that is going to generate, honestly, a significant, not a huge amount, a significant amount of revenue for your store. If you were to just leave these fundamentals in place from phase 1, you would have a really robust setup, providing that you'd set them up correctly. And you can probably, you would see, especially from an email automation perspective, like it's the 80-20 rule. In fact, I would go as high to say 90% of your revenue, no matter how advanced you get on automation, will come from those 6 core flows. It doesn't matter how sophisticated you get with additional flows. You're not going to drive as much revenue, at least, as you will from those flows. So if your goal is just to maximize the revenue potential of the stores, just focus on those 6. And then add layers of sophistication when you can down the line. So, okay, so let's assume you do get those set up. You're ready to move to the next phase. You're thinking, what can I do now to enhance the revenue, but also improve the customer experience and start to leverage some of email's additional capabilities? Going back to what I said in the beginning of this video, to improve the omni-channel customer experience, help the Facebook ads team, help the acquisition team, help the social media team sort of collaborate and bring these departments together. That's what we're going to do in phase 2. So the first thing you will want to do is introduce email campaigns. Email campaigns, again, if you've got a sufficient amount of subscribers, and if you're acquiring customers, then I assume you will, you are going to want to send content and nurture these customers quite frequently. Won't get into frequency too deeply on this topic, but let's say, for example, you're sending 1 campaign a week. You're going to want to start to send a blend of content, sales, inventory, things you need to clear, promotions, competitions, qualitative research. You're just going to want to start communicating with your customers over email on a weekly basis. The reason you're going to want to do this is because obviously you need to stay top of mind. You need to keep in touch with customers on all sorts of channels. And email is just a very, very cost-efficient, profitable way of doing this. So definitely start to send out email campaigns once per week, in my opinion, is a safe starting point. It will generate more revenue. It'll get more traffic to the website. It will keep you more top of mind. It'll move the needle on retention. It will do a lot of things, and everyone should be sending out frequent campaigns. The second thing you're going to want to do at this point is use email to improve acquisition. How does this work? So basically what you're going to want to be doing is looking at the behavior of subscribers and then pushing these segments back to Facebook and Instagram for retargeting, especially if you're using software like Klaviyo, which allows you to do this. As an example, you can start to create audiences of customers who've purchased at least once overall time, never engaged with an email in 60 days. You want to retarget people who have abandoned a shopping cart. You want to push segments back from qualitative research that you've done on your customers. So you find out their goals. Let's say, for example, you're buying supplements and you find out someone wants to burn body fat. You'll want to push these segments back to Facebook and Instagram to help improve retargeting, especially with all the changes with iOS 14. It's very important to progressively profile customers, collect this zero-party data on them, and then send it back to the ads team to improve return on ad spend, marketing efficiency. So your goal, again, if I go back to the beginning of this video, is not just to increase the revenue through email. Your goal is to harmoniously, synergistically work with other departments. And this is one of the ways you can improve the efficiency of the acquisition team, is by pushing these custom segments back to Facebook and Instagram and allowing them to be more granular and specific with the targeting of customers on that channel. So criminally underutilized by the ads team, but also by the email team as well. Everyone should be doing this. And if you're not, to use the common phrase, you're leaving money on the table, a huge amount, in fact. The third point in phase 2 is introduce data enrichment points. So this is where you will start to integrate qualitative research into your emails to help with ongoing optimization efforts and to understand your customers more deeply. What do I mean by this? So let's say, for example, someone abandons a cart. Send them an email finding out why. Was it the price? Was it the shipping? Was it that they didn't feel confident the product would work? Did they find an alternative? You're going to want to add these data enrichment points to find out this information from customers and try and collect as much as possible. Post-purchase, are you collecting the net promoter score? Are you finding out if the customer was happy with the products? Are you checking the reviews on them? When someone's about to churn, have you found out why they've stopped buying from you? In the win-back flow as well. Are you trying to proactively collect insights from customers to create these feedback loops to the relevant departments, whether it's the on-site dev team, product marketing? You should be aiming to create as many feedback loops as possible to improve other areas of the business. So you can see now how it's all starting to tie together. You've set up the basics for revenue through email, and now your goal is to help other departments strengthen their performance as well. You're creating the ecosystem. And the data enrichment points are just very, very important, and a great way to do this on autopilot, because it can be set and forget. Like you put these research emails in an abandoned cart, in a post-purchase, in a churn flow, and then you proactively collecting these data enrichment points over time, just creating a great feedback loop. The next phase is the next portion of phase 2 is to add user-generated content flows to automate content creation. Again, this is another way that you can help the overall business strengthen its performance. So imagine having a repository of images, media, content assets, blog posts, videos, just going through to your social and content team on autopilot. This is plausible. It can happen if you were to set up user-generated content flows that collect these insights from customers. So let's say, for example, someone purchases from you. Typically, people will go in with a review request. Yeah, this is important. Everyone needs to get things like these set up. But take it one step further. Start to ask customers about their experience with the product. Get them to submit before and after photos. Ask them a series of questions. Encourage them to share this content on social and then create blog posts for you, do video reviews. You're basically going to want to strategically put these flows in place to ask customers as much as possible about their experience shopping with your brand and your products. And your goal is then to repurpose these content assets and strengthen the overall performance of the social media team, create more content assets for the brand, social proof. And again, it's just another great feedback loop that you can leverage to improve the overall performance of the business via email. There's a lot of ways to set this up. So I have expanded on this in the article. I encourage you to go more into it because it can get quite intricate. So I'll keep it quite high level for the sake of simplicity here. So just to recap, phase 2, you're going to want to introduce email campaigns with a moderate frequency for now. Start with 1 per week. You're going to want to push those segments back to Facebook and Instagram for retargeting. You're going to want to introduce data enrichment points to create these feedback loops so you're improving other areas of the business. And the next thing you're going to want to do is add user-generated content flows to start collating social proof, blog posts, content assets, and basically just helping the whole other departments of the business. Let's move on to phase 3, which I call optimization and experiential flows. So you've got your email infrastructure set up at this point. Now it's time to invest in things that will generate word of mouth advocacy. So things you can't necessarily measure in a quantitative way, but will definitely still improve the business. And I call these experiential flows. So things that delight the customer and add value at each touch point of the journey, but they can't necessarily be attributed to revenue or within tangible assets like blog posts and reviews, as I was discussing before. So in phase 3, this is what you should focus on. Number 1, aggressively test to make incremental improvements on what you've currently set up. So this is where you should be doing a lot of A/B testing and trying to move the needle across your established KPIs. And you want to document these changes to come to statistical significance, assuming that you have enough data of people going through these flows, etc. As I've said before, in the first 2 phases, you really do have probably 90%, in fact, at this point, 95% of what you need. So it's about aggressively testing to move the needle and make small incremental improvements on that existing setup. Headlines, creatives, time of day, all the basic stuff, basically frequency on campaigns. I'm going to come to that in a minute, but basically just testing aggressively on what you've already set up. The second part is implementing experiential email flows. So things like the birthday flow, if you're collecting data on what someone's favorite coffee or tea is, which you can do, then you're going to want to trigger notifications to customer experience team to then give your high value customers gifts on these specific days. If someone's a VIP customer, you're going to want to reward them for their loyalty and for spending a certain threshold with you over all time. Loads of creative ways to do this, providing that you're collecting data proactively on your customers. You will want to set up a brand ambassador flow. So when someone starts to talk about you on social, when they're a big advocate of your brand, you will want to invite them to become a brand ambassador or influencer for you. Again, this could be automated. And the goal with these flows is to increase word of mouth marketing by surprising the customers on special dates or data that you've collected on them. And then again, just trying to really increase that word of mouth marketing by making them brand ambassadors for you. The third thing you're going to want to do is gradually start to increase the campaign frequency. So if you have been sending one campaign per month or per week, you will gradually want to employ a scientific approach to increasing that frequency and then seeing, the additional benefits that will give you from customer lifetime value perspective, the revenue over a period of time. And one thing you can employ on this is holdout testing to see whether the effectiveness of this increased frequency is having a positive effect on your business over a period of time. And again, I'll link to some articles and resources you can look at in the comments section, because this can go quite in depth again. But generally speaking, if you can increase the frequency and you start to improve the revenue and lifetime value of customers, then it's a pretty effective way to move the needle again. Obviously, you need things to talk about, right? So this will create more internal pressure in the business to create more content assets, promotions, or various things to talk about, because there's no point sending an email for no point. But you should be hopefully doing those things anyway. The last element is developing a loyalty program, if it's applicable to your business. So here you are going to want to leverage things like referrals, referral flow, welcoming someone to the program, points rewards on certain days or in campaigns, birthday rewards. Encourage them to engage on social in in return for points, have certain tiers. I'm not going to go too in depth into what makes an effective loyalty program, because it's just such a deep topic. It's also something that I couldn't cover sufficiently here within the time frame. So basically just have these basic flows set up to again, similar to your core automation in the beginning, to just make sure the customers are participating in the program, they're aware of the additional benefits, and also if they do have points allocated to them, that they can use them, and hopefully that will drive more repeat sales. Last drink of water before the recap. It's really hard to talk for 30 minutes straight. I'm normally speaking to other people. So let's put it all together. That is the Email Marketing Bible, the 14 commandments, 14 steps to email marketing greatness. Some crazy construction work outside my building. Hopefully you can't hear that. So let's recap on them. Phase 1, get your core automation in place. Welcome flow with pop-up, abandoned cart flow, post-purchase upsell, fulfilled order flow, browse abandonment flow, and customer win-back flow. If you do nothing else, just get phase 1 set up. Phase 2, introduce email campaigns, push segments back to Facebook for retargeting from the email service provider, introduce data enrichment points to progressively profile customers more deeply and create those feedback loops, add user-generated content flows to automate content creation and build social proof. Phase 3, implement an aggressive testing matrix to drive incremental improvements upon that email infrastructure once you've set it up. Use data that you've proactively collected from customers to create these experiential email flows. Increase the campaign frequency if the deliverability is healthy. So if you have a good ratio of subscribers to unsubscribes and you're confident that you can continue scaling the email performance, then you can gradually increase the frequency. And last but not least, developing a loyalty program, if it's applicable to the business, and making sure that those behavioral triggers, again, are set up in the same way that they are for phase 1. So when someone subscribes to the program, create referral, a rewards available, etc. Now, of course, there is additional flows and concepts that I've probably missed out here, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to wrap things up here. They are the 14 steps that we take with all of our clients, and it's quite a linear process. If you haven't got one, you should start with the basics and then gradually move through the phases, because it's structured in a way to maximize the ROI based on priority to the business. Hope that helps. Hope it's been useful, because I'm out of breath now. I'm ready to retire for the day. If you have any questions, just feel free to drop me a comment. Love to hear from you guys. And also, if you think I missed anything, let me know. I'd love to hear what you would include. I know there's been a few comments already I've had on LinkedIn, like, where's the back in stock flow? And where's this, blah, blah, blah. But I try to keep it generalized so that it will be applicable to all businesses. And some of the things that I missed out, I did that purposely because I thought not every business needs them, but I think every business can benefit from these. So yeah, if you think I've missed anything out, please feel free to share, and maybe we can make the New Testament, the new email marketing Bible together. Cheers very much for listening, and I will speak to you all soon. Thanks.